For those of you who are regular viewers of my channel, you'll remember that in my open board video, I told you about ZVitor. Well, recently I started backing him on Patreon, and because of that, I can have access to some of his demos and betas of the latest versions of his games. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of his other work and why I think ZVitor needs a lot more recognition and support. If you want to try some of these games or might even consider being a Patreon at the end of this, links are down below. On to the first game. So if you watched my open board video, you'll remember that the Marvel First Alliance 2 game was featured. Well, this time, we're going to look at its sequel, Marvel Infinity War. To be honest, there isn't much I can say that hasn't been said already. Great graphics, 4-player co-op, amazing attention to lore, creative levels, environments, and a vast array of characters. However, this game does have some distinguishing differences from its prequel. First is the way the campaign works. Warlock has detected that someone is gathering the Infinity Stones and you must stop whoever it is before disaster strikes. You can guess what purple prune-faced prick is doing that! I won't tell you everything so you can have a spoiler-free experience, should you decide to give these games a try. To start, you have 6 levels you need to fight through. Asgard, Russia, New York, Hellfire Club, Moonbase, and Hell. In some levels, you're given a fixed selection of characters to use, while in others you have a choice of teams which offer different characters to play as. There are some returning fan favourites like Spider-Man, Elektra and Hulk, as well as new heroes like Nick Fury, Punisher, Archangel, Squirrel Girl, Jessica Jones, and even a load of villains to play as. All of which feature lots of palette swaps. However, one thing I don't like about this new character system is that you can't really mix and match the characters like you could in First Alliance 2. There are opportunities where you are able to. Personally, I would like this restriction lifted so I can make my own dream team with all the characters available. I can look past it though. Also, once you meet certain criteria, you get to play as Stan Lee, and it's pretty cool. Gameplay wise, you'll still have the pickups like the radio and the logos, but the radios can now call in new characters to help, like Dum Dum Dugan and Misty Knight. The logos have also been assigned to a single button command instead of a combination you have to press, which makes them much more easier to pull off. Not that they were hard in the first place, it's just a single button is better than having to put in a combination you might not always be able to pull off. Speaking of commands, controls are similar to the last game, but button combinations to do extra attacks like quarter circle forward are missing. Instead, characters now have a normal, super and ultra attack they can use, which are different for each character. However, other characters can also perform certain maneuvers that others can't. It doesn't tell you in the game what these maneuvers are or who can do what, but thankfully there is an instruction page that comes with the download so you can memorise who can do what. Another new feature is that in some levels you'll have friendly AI who will be fighting alongside you. They might be there from the very start of the level, or they might even arrive during the level, so it's nice to know you'll have a force behind you if you're playing alone. Once you complete the story, you'll also have a load of other modes you can play, like boss rush and replay modes. But there are also secret levels to play, and remakes of older Marvel games like X-Men Mutant Apocalypse and Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. If you are a Marvel fan who loves beat-em-ups, give this one a play. You won't regret it, especially if you can get your friends in on it. What if, however, you're not a Marvel fan? What if you're a DC person? Well, lucky for you, there's also Justice League United. Now, granted, this game isn't developed in the same way as Infinity War, but this is still a lovingly made, fun, and well-presented game. You have 2 campaigns to choose from based on stories from DC Comics, Death of Superman and Reign of Superman. Whichever campaign you play first, you'll gain access to a lot of characters: Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Batman, Robin, Green Lantern, Plastic Man, Hawk Girl, Black Canary, Green Arrow, Flash, Cyborg, Martian Manhunter, Artemis, Nightwing, Superboy, Lobo, Shazam, Starfire, Vixen, and Steel, or as I prefer to call him, Shaquille O'Neal.
It's on now.
Other characters can be played at certain parts of the 2 campaigns, like Cyborg Superman and Eradicator, all of which have alternative palettes to choose from. The game goes up to 2-player co-op, but what if you don't have a co-op partner? Don't worry, this game's got you covered. Choosing the Justice League United mode allows you to play through the game with an AI-controlled partner, and they don't suck. They can handle themselves in a fight and they don't get in your way. Again, I'm not telling you everything about this game plot-wise, but I will show you what makes this game good. Once again, the controls are user-friendly and quick to learn, and you can customize them to binding whatever it is you want. By the way, as a side note, all of these games that I'm featuring are all gamepad compatible as well, perfect for console scum like me. You can move around and jump, as is tradition. You can perform a standard combo attack, jump attacks, and pull off power moves with your other 2 buttons. Not only that, but a tutorial will show you the other maneuvers you can pull off. Double tapping a direction makes you run, jump twice to fly or to double jump. You can use super attacks while jumping and running. You can dodge by pressing block and a direction, or pressing block while running. And finally, you can do a super jump by pressing down and jump. Friendly warning though, the block and the super jump do have a slight flaw to them. Sometimes the levels will be 2D platforming style and others will be 2D brawler style. Pulling off the super jump in the brawler type level won't be possible because your character isn't able to crouch. As for the dodge, it's better to do while running, because if you attempt to do it from a block, your character will stop blocking after you dodge, even if you remain holding the button down. So you have to get into the habit of pressing block over and over when you want to chain multiple dodges in a row. Much easier when you're running, as your character won't stop running after the dodge, as long as you hold the button down. In Death of Superman, you start off in Gotham City. You meet Commissioner Gordon, who tells you that Joker and his goons are running amok and need your help dealing with them. Level 1 is a platforming style level. The game does require you to use some skill and adaptability for your surroundings. Each level also has themed enemies. In Gotham, there are 3 kinds of enemies to start. Thin clowns, who are your standard cannon fodder, fat clowns that bounce around and knock you out of the air or try to land on you, and bomber clowns that will fire grenades in an arc towards you, even from off screen. Being able to dodge effectively to keep enemies in front of you is a good strategy, and listening out for sound cues of enemies attacking from off screen is just as important. Learning attack patterns and enemy weaknesses will also help you find effective ways to deal with them. Pro tip, if the enemies in this level are pissing you off, be a flying character, because then you can jump to the highest point in the map, do a super jump and just glide your way to the boss fight, where there's a health item and the boss waiting for you. Bosses are a frequent occurrence in this game, and they are aggressive as fuck. They really lay into you and hardly give you a chance to fight back, so your defense needs to be as good as your offense. Bosses, like regular enemies, also have weaknesses. Catwoman's is ranged attacks. Once I discovered that, she was a breeze. Level 2, this time it's a brawl style level, meaning you can move in 8 directions. Enemies become more difficult now as they begin to leave poison gas clowns behind when they die, and enemies will use swarm tactics to surround you and sucker punch you. You can dodge out, but being punched in the back breaks your block, so it's harder to pull off a dodge as opposed to the platformer levels. Again, trying to keep them in front of you, or to a manageable size, oh hey Harley, or to a manageable size is ideal. Level 3, a new kind of level, a driving level. That is if your character has a car, or in some cases, a water vehicle, otherwise your character is just going to be flying. These levels work like a side-scrolling shooter. You can move in 8 directions and you can avoid obstacles while shooting enemies. Really cool varieties to these levels in this game. Very well done. If you're flying, you can jump over hazards, while some vehicles require you to move out the way, although some of them can jump. You don't get to use superpowers though. Your only attack is a standard shot of some kind, and a jump attack if you can fly. Cool as these levels are though, there is one thing that really bugs me about them. When you kill an enemy, the vehicle may blow up and fly towards you. If you can jump, it's fine, but vehicles will have to try and swerve out the way, and sometimes you don't have the room or speed to pull it off. It wouldn't be too much of an issue if the amount of health they took off was a little bit, but it's a noticeable amount, which really stacks up if you keep being hit over and over, and it can really make these levels difficult. Not to mention sometimes the enemy shots are hard to see. Also, sometimes enemies can appear behind you, and with no way to attack behind you, you can't take them out until you get behind them. On the plus side, the enemy can't attack forward, so it's not as bad as it could be. Hey, how does my arse look from back there? Oh, not bad actually.
Damn.
At times, a bonus level will show up, in which you have to channel your inner road rage and crash into as many enemies as you can to earn points. Every 50,000 points earns you an extra life, so take as many enemy lives as you can in order to give yourself more lives. In a nice attention to lore detail, Flash slows down when you control him to simulate his faster than light speed. You will spot quite a few details like that, which makes the experience unique regardless as to who you play as. I spotted quite a few, but I've got no idea if I spotted them all. Finally, it's clear to see, this game also features great graphics. True, you may spot some sprites and avatars that have been ripped from other games, but I personally don't have an issue with that. In fact, I like trying to spot them and then trying to identify the game they've come from. They blend in with the levels perfectly. The handmade sprites are also professionally well done, especially on Plastic Man. The animations are unique for every character, and the ripped sprites have been adapted into the game masterfully. Sometimes it's noticeable, like head size, for one instance, but it's not too often, and it's not really immersion breaking. You will also have a variety of levels to experience. Levels with many environments, levels with an effect on your movement, driving levels, water vehicle levels, levels with environments that have depth to them. This game will constantly be a pleasure visually for you, and you won't ever get fed up looking at it. And that is the basic gist of this game. There are a few more features to it, but like I said, spoiler free, so you can discover things for yourself. The final game we're going to be looking at is a special one. Special because it's still in beta and is currently in development, so don't judge this one harshly. Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm. This one is only available if you're part of ZVitor's Patreon. Out of respect, I won't be sharing information he keeps to Patreons only, but what I can tell you is that this game is looking promising. The game's plot loosely follows the plot of the original games. As of right now, there are 8 playable characters: Raiden, Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, Jax, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Kano. The digitized sprites from the original 3 MK games have been used to create the nostalgic classic atmosphere, along with some edited ones to give enemy variety. You can also make them do a dance by turning around on the spot. Also, ZVitor has not shied away from the gore, so make that pixelated blood rain! Of the 3, this game has the simplest controls. You can jump and attack as usual, you've got a block button, you double tap to run, or the instinctive fighting capabilities you'd expect in a brawler. But you also have a fatality button. When your green bar fills, you are able to perform a fatality which will instantly kill at least one poor sod unfortunate enough to stand in your way. Other special moves can be performed by using the stick and button combinations, like quarter circle forward, but as far as I was able to figure out, there are 2. Quarter circle forward, and I discovered a second one with Kano, but I wasn't sure what I was hitting at the time. I should also mention I think Sonya's fatality may be bugged, as sometimes the enemies wouldn't die instantly from it. At the moment, the levels are of a simplistic design, by which I mean there's no environmental hazards or platforming elements, though sometimes they do go 2D platformer style. The levels are simply side-scrolling beat-em-up style. Walk to the right, fight enemies, move on until you reach the boss, job done. Not that I'm faulting the game for that, I'm fine with it, and of course this game is still in development. However, I will say that sometimes the amount of time you spend fighting in one area does feel a bit too long. Mainly because what usually happens is that you'll clear a screen of enemies and then more in greater numbers will show up on the same screen, and this might happen 3 or 4 times before you can move on. Not too much of a problem, but sometimes it does make the levels feel a bit of a drag. The enemies themselves, however, are fun to fight. Different enemies fight in different ways. The bowstaff monks will approach you and try to attack you from just out of your range, ninjas primarily jump attack you, and hatted monks will try to attack up close. Though in the future, I predict they may start throwing those bladed hats. It's satisfying to fight them once you've figured out how to beat them, because then you can stand over their corpse and go, "I am your superior! Your existence disgusts me, grasshopper." Not that there's anyone in Mortal Kombat who actually speaks like that.
Your comments were very hurtful.
As well as enemies, you'll also encounter bosses. Noticeably tougher than regular grunts, but still easily beatable. Almost. Knock them down, move away, avoid their wake up ranged attack, then jump kick them and do it again, and again, and again, and again and again, until they become stunned, where you can perform a fatality on them. Unlike the MK games of old though, you can perform a fatality simply by attacking regularly. Whether it's as simple as a blood vessel bursting kick to your opponent's groin, or a fatality attack, it always brings you glory. And remember, you can't spell glory without gory. All of these games are great. Lots of passion, dedication and hard work has gone into these games. I would highly recommend all of them. And ZVitor is always working to improve them as well, by adding new characters, new modes, game fixes, you name it, he's doing it. If you are showing interest and you want to stay updated, check out his YouTube channel and Twitter for the latest updates regarding his games. Once again, link to ZVitor's games and Patreon down below if you are interested and want to help these games grow. And the best part, Patreon or not, all of these games are completely free. So, now you've heard of him, would you play his games? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching everyone, and remember, you're always welcome at the Spectrum.